Snail City.
I'm Andrew Saul, Commissioner of Social Security. Beware of telephone scammers pretending to be government employees. Real Social Security employees will never threaten you. Callers threatening you with arrest or other legal action and demanding money are not from us. If you receive a call like this, hang up, do not provide them with any form of payment or information. Report the call at oig.ssa.gov.
Quaker Steak and Lube at the Highlands is the perfect place to relax after a long day. Happy hour from 3 to 6 Monday through Friday. Get $2 off appetizers, $3 off domestic drafts and house wine specials. Quaker Steak and Lube, voted Best Wings USA. Quaker Steak and Lube at the Highlands with another steal of a deal. Get a steak burger and fries all day Monday for only $8.99. It's also Military Mondays. The Lube will take 25% off for all veterans, active duty military, and first responders. Quaker Steak and Lube, voted Best Wings USA.
Are you struggling to make payments due to an unexpected financial obligation or loss of income? Are you receiving calls from debt collectors? Are you feeling overwhelmed and unsure of what steps to take next? Then you need the experience and expertise of attorney Tom McIntyre and his staff to help guide you through these temporary hardships. Want to hear more about how Tom can help? Then call 877-456-4155 and receive a free copy of Tom's ebook, When Bad Things Happen to Good People. Tom's ebook covers many questions people have about bankruptcy and includes interesting stories about people who tried to avoid filing and people who have filed for bankruptcy. We think you'll be surprised to learn some interesting facts about bankruptcy. Call 877-456-4155.
The Ohio Valley would like to welcome Airgas USA to the tri-state area, your one-stop shop for all your welding and safety needs. Airgas is the United States' largest distributor of industrial, medical, and specialty gases and related equipment, products, and services. Airgas carries more than 36,000 safety and welding products. Check out airgas.com with free ship to store on over 200,000 items. Or stop in to see us at 2208 Warwood Avenue. Mention this ad for an additional 20% off your first purchase. Some exclusions apply.
Hello, it's John Kozik, founder and president of TurboTrack Realty, and I buy houses as is, fast for cash. Call me today for an all-cash offer on any of your properties, and we can close within days at 614-362-2000, 362-2000. Do you own a property that's outdated and needs thousands of dollars in repairs? Great, I'll buy it. I'm a private real estate investor who can solve your real estate problems fast for cash. Do you want to sell and just be done with it? Okay, great. I buy vacant properties, boarded up houses, pre-foreclosures, and inherited properties. I also buy apartment buildings, rental portfolios, divorce homes. I even buy my tenant won't pay me the rent houses. I look forward to solving your real estate problems today. Give me a call for an all-cash offer at 614-362-2000, 614-362-2000.
Hello, everyone. From the Watchdog, I'm the Storm Tracker Darnell Foster with a look at your local weather forecast for your Friday. Under mostly cloudy skies with a few scattered showers.
Okay, thank you.
Clouds and sunshine mixing for your Saturday with highs in the mid to upper 60s. Have yourself a great day, everyone. From the Watchdog, I'm Darnell Foster.
The views and opinions expressed on the following program are not necessarily those of this station or its sponsors.
Wake up and listen up.
Can you tell me what day it is?
I know it's Friday.
You are correct.
You know what that means?
Yeah, do tell.
Great Friday.
The weekend starts here.
I live for Friday.
Okay then.
Get busy living or get busy dying.
Let's get this party started.
It's showtime.
Something to think about, something to laugh about, and something to talk about every day. This is the Watchdog Morning Show with Howard Monroe. Brought to you in part by Wheeling Hospital.
Temp has bumped up a single degree, 51 degrees at the Wheeling, Ohio County Airport. Still cloudy outside, 50 degrees here at my home studios in the Elm Grove section of Wheeling, and 50 degrees at the Robinson Auto Group studios downtown Wheeling in the heart of the Ohio Valley. Might see some scattered showers, a little drizzle during the morning. Sun should come out by midday and be an acceptable day. Daytime high up to around 56, 58, somewhere in that range. Weekend is going to be gorgeous with blue skies, sunshine, and temperatures in the mid to upper 60s and even into the low 70s over the weekend. So that sounds good. We got the big birthday party for Teddy, two of them, a family party tomorrow, and a big friends party with all of his playground friends and his school friends gathering together on Sunday. Whew, it's going to be it's just going to be a doozy.
I'm wore out just hearing about it.
Yeah, man, over 30 crumb crunchers just running around, and but I'm looking forward to that. And also, speaking of birthdays again, today is my middle son's birthday. Justin's birthday is today as well, so happy birthday to him. 9:13 here on the Watchdog Morning Show. We were talking about a couple of things this morning. Number one is Grandma on out-of-date term. Gail King from CBS this week announced that she's going to be a grandma, and she quickly said, I don't want to be called Grandma. No. She wants to be called Gaia, Mother Earth. I think that's awfully pretentious. But we're having some fun talking about the different names that you have for your grandparents, or if you are a grandparent, what do your grandkids call you? It's Grandma and Granddad here at this house. Teddy's other grandparents are Grandpa and Granny. Biff's grandma was well, race car Sally. I just leave that alone. But a lot of folks sharing their grandma names with us. You can do that at 304-214-1600, 304-214-1600. Also, it talked about some of the things that people are doing to try to basically bribe folks to get a vaccine. Governor Justice is giving free savings bond, $100 savings bond to people 16 to 35 who get the vaccine. Elsewhere in the country, free pot, free beer. We had a story of a guy who got his shot. It was shot for shot night at a bar that he was at. That's kind of interesting. So, and I'm reaching the point where I'm thinking, you know what? For those folks who decided not to get the vaccine, you're on your own. And not quite yet, because there's still people who are trying. But if you still have another couple of weeks to get your second shot, right?
Yeah, it'll be 19 days.
So, I'm not yet, but I'm reaching the point pretty soon where those of us who did the responsible thing, got the vaccine, we're okay. And if you choose not to, to heck with you. Off the text line, Howard, the people who want the shots got them. The rest of the people chose not to. It's their personal choice. And I'm reaching the point where I tend to think that's true. Also, I didn't know this. This is for our friend Alan from Neff's. Krispy Kreme gives a free original donut just by stopping in and showing your vaccination card. Huh. Don't have any Krispy Kremes around here, though, do we, Biff?
I think the closest one is in
Washington.
Washington, and if Weirton has one,
okay, all right,
that would be the only two I would know of.
Well, if you're around there and you feel like a donut, go. If you have a vaccine card, go show it. There you go. It's time to talk about the Ohio Valley News Week in Review. To help me do that, always on Friday, except when he's on vacation like he was last week, newspaper editor John McCabe. Good morning, John.
Howard, how are you doing?
I'm good. You've been vaccinated, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Are you kind of reaching that point like me where you're beginning to say, for those people who choose not to hell with you?
Everybody makes their own choices. I mean, that's kind of the spice of life. I don't know. I mean, we wrote an editorial a day or two ago. I'll give the governor credit. I know he got cajoled and ridiculed because nobody knows what a savings bond is anymore. Because people have got to pick on everything. But I'll give him credit for at least thinking outside of the box. I mean, here's the key. I mean, I don't disagree with you, to heck with them all, but the reality is that, business, life is not going to return to any true semblance of normal, or the government at least is not going to tighten or, loosen up that tightness that they've had around public health if more people don't get vaccinated. That's my concern. And, we see it already that, the economy is ready to explode right now, in my opinion. There's billions of dollars floating around.
You mean explode in a good way?
In a good way, yes. In a good way, yes. Okay, take off. I mean, GDP is up. The signs are all pointing really well. But, I don't know, if you're in a business like food service, or depending on what you do, we already know people are having trouble finding employees. Are people asking employees to be vaccinated? Some places it is mandatory. If you want to work there, you have to be vaccinated. So I find it really compelling that, savings bond is a pretty interesting way, marijuana. I don't know about that, but whatever, I guess whatever floats your boat, huh?
Listen, I want to say, I'm with you. I give Governor Justice credit for trying to do something, all right? I really do, sincerely. Savings bond is such an archaic thought for people 16 to 35 years of age.
It is. I don't disagree.
But I give him credit for trying. I don't think it's going to do anything. I don't think that's going to motivate anyone to go. Free pot, free beer. Those things might work. And it's sad you have to bribe people. Again, John, it was only, 4-6 weeks ago? People were pounding on our doors screaming, why can't I get my vaccine? Why do I have to wait so long? And now this vaccine, we're awash in the vaccine, and people aren't going to get it. It's very frustrating.
Well, and what's really surprised me nationwide, it's becoming the numbers are getting firmed up on the number of, just in the millions of people who get one dose but don't go back for their second for whatever reason. I don't know if anyone's really kind of figured out why, other than hesitancy or thinking, okay, I got one, I don't need the second one. Yesterday, so let me look here. I'm just looking. Yesterday, or Wednesday, 1,500 doses administered statewide in West Virginia. 1,500. A month ago, that was roughly 12, 13,000. Yeah. Now we're down. If you look at the state's numbers, in the last 2 weeks, the highest number in a single day has been about under 5,000. And so, West Virginia, we again wrote about this just the other day as well. West Virginia was way out in front early on, and now when you look at the national numbers, West Virginia is where it ranks in everything else, and the bottom 5 almost in vaccine administration right now in terms of the amount of the supply used, and of course, who's there with them? The usual suspects: Mississippi, Alabama, et cetera. So it concerns me, but people have to make up their own minds on these things, and this is why where we're at right now.
Yeah, again, I'm not there yet, because I do recognize there's still people who are waiting for, like Biff, for example, waiting for a second vaccine, a second shot, and there are some who maybe still are, planning to get it scheduled and haven't yet. But sometime soon, I'm reaching the point where, you know what, I'm just going to go about and live my life. And if you don't want to get vaccinated, whatever happens to you, happens to you. And I get your point about, what will the government do? When will the government come to that same conclusion?
Yeah.
And when will businesses come to that same conclusion? I think, and I know there's some issues of legality that are popping up. I think, frankly, if you're a business, you have every right in the world to say, we accept only those who are vaccinated.
Sure. Well, I can tell you from a family member's experience. If she wanted to be and this is a volunteer, so it wasn't a paid position, but you want to volunteer at a hospital, you had to be vaccinated, and they had vaccinations available then to do it. So, it was a choice. It's a volunteer position in the medical field. But I know personally of a handful of medical professionals who are refusing to be vaccinated.
Absolutely.
And also know many who think if you don't, you're missing the boat. So it's really concerning in a lot of ways.
What concerns me, John, is we are this close to getting back to normal. Mm-hmm. We're this close, and we got to push it over the finish line somehow, and we're stalling now. We were racing to the finish line, we're almost there, and now it's stalled, and it's just frustrating to me.
Well, have you seen? Maybe we can just kind of end it on this, because I find this to be really interesting. There are, I think, right now 100 colleges and universities across the country that have essentially promised a return to normal for next semester, the fall of 2021, in-person classes, everything back to normal, if students are vaccinated. If you come and you're not, then we're not going to be. I have a senior who's getting ready to start college, and, I would like for him to have a normal college experience, because, his sister, who's been there for 2 years now, has had half a year of normal, and then a year and a half now almost, or, a full year plus of, remote classes, and it's not the same. It's just not. Yep. You don't go to college to sit in your dorm room or your apartment and do, and do Zoom classes.
Yep. Well, let's hope we can push it over the finish line.
Yep.
John, quick break. When we come back, let's talk about the local news. Bridge got moved into place. That was a fascinating story. Yeah. A couple of funding issues we want to talk about, rental inspection, lots of stuff happening in the Valley. So we'll have the conversation coming up. 9:23 after the hour, 51 degrees. The Friday Roundtable, Ohio Valley News Week in Review with John McCabe underway here on The Watchdog.
There's variety.
in and out of court. Call Paul Harris at Harris Law Office for a free consultation. 304-232-5300.
It's time we put a stop to a few things. Right now, the D.C. establishment has all the power. The For the People Act will stop that. Billionaires buying West Virginia's elections? The For the People Act will stop that. Politicians and their families getting rich while we pay for it? Yep. The For the People Act will stop that too. Senator Manchin, you've always had West Virginia's back. Don't stop now. Stop corruption in its tracks and support the For the People Act, paid for by Represent Us. It's time we put a stop to a few things. Americans voting on machines that aren't made in America? The For the People Act will stop that. States using hackable voting machines with no paper trail? The For the People Act will stop that. Elections with no way to do careful audits or recounts by hand? Yep, the For the People Act will stop that too. Senator Manchin, you've always had West Virginia's back. Don't stop now. Stop election interference and support the For the People Act, paid for by Represent Us.
Does your dog need groomed or walked? Are you looking for a pet sitter or dog boarding options? If so, call Dirty Paws, Wheeling's newest pet care service, providing the Ohio Valley with everyone's pet care needs. Check us out on Facebook at Dirty Paws WHG or call 304-639-7754.
Hello, it's John Kozik, founder and president of TurboTrack Realty, and I buy houses as is, fast for cash. Call me today for an all-cash offer on any of your properties, and we can close within days at 614-362-2000, 362-2000. Do you own a property that's outdated and needs thousands of dollars in repairs? Great, I'll buy it. I'm a private real estate investor who can solve your real estate problems fast for cash. Do you want to sell and just be done with it? Okay, great. I buy vacant properties, boarded up houses, pre-foreclosures, and inherited properties. I also buy apartment buildings, rental portfolios, divorce homes. I even buy my tenant won't pay me the rent houses. I look forward to solving your real estate problems today. Give me a call for an all-cash offer at 614-362-2000, 614-362-2000.
Glendale. The Watchdog is protecting your yard. Join Howard Monroe, Hoppy Kercheval, Bill DeFabio, and Big Rick for the best live and local talk in the Upper Ohio Valley and beyond. Glendale trusts the Watchdog.
Here's a look at the Ohio Valley local news week in review with newspaper editor John McCabe and Howard Monroe.
9:27, 51 degrees here on a Friday morning. John, one of the more interesting stories this week was the moving into place of the Wellsburg Bridge. I found it absolutely fascinating. I wasn't there, but I watched the various video feeds. I found that fascinating to watch them move that into place.
Yeah, the whole thing's been fascinating, but it really hasn't, it's been a very slow process. But on Monday, after a week of delay, for that thing to, start about 8 o'clock in the morning, or maybe even a little bit early, 6 o'clock in the morning, I think is what it was. They moved it out of, essentially onto barges, on jacks, floated it, a good ways down the Ohio River, had to navigate it, turn it, move it into position for what they thought initially was going to be a early Tuesday morning, dropping it into place, but changing weather conditions Monday, is expected for Tuesday, it made it all become a one-day thing. So literally it was about a 14 to 15-hour process where they, again, floated it down the river, positioned it, jacked it up, repositioned it again to move it into place, almost like a Lego or a Tinker toy, and dropped it down into the two piers that had already been there in the Ohio River. It was just fascinating, the marvel involved in it in terms of the engineering and the workers who have to, had to play, everyone had to play their role correctly. No room for error, because if there was error, that thing was probably going to either end up off-centered or in the river or anything like that. But it just, when you really think about it, there was some really fascinating drone footage that several people did. And, just watching that, it's just, imagine if you had, your mode of, your idea of river transportation is, just a boat floating down the river, and you see this bridge floating down the river. How fascinating, and just the show Modern Marvels has things like that all the time, and it's a show I've always enjoyed watching. And it just was really fun Monday through the day, keeping tabs, in the videos and the still photos where you get different angles of the bridge being moved, and watching it being jacked up over hours to get over top of those piers and then moved into place. But just for everyone involved, the Flatiron Company, the divisions of highways, a wonderful, wonderful job.
And to the best of my knowledge, not a flaw, not a mistake. It worked perfectly. And that was, I shouldn't say it wasn't a guarantee, but something could have gone wrong.
Sure.
It's a complex issue, but it finally worked. Bigger question, John, now, and the bridge is not yet ready to be opened. They have a lot more work to do now that it's in place. But when it's open, will it spur some kind of economic success in that area? I'm still unconvinced. I'm unconvinced.
I'd love to say that a $131 million investment, most of which came from the state of West Virginia and only a minor pittance from Ohio. So you and I and others who live in this state paid $120 million, I think it was $123 million in total, to build this bridge that goes essentially from a rock face on the West Virginia side to a really small village in Ohio. From a return on investment standpoint, do I hope it works? 100%. Is it going to work immediately? No, but maybe 10 years. One thing it does do, and it does provide another point of access across the river. That's the one thing here locally, and we've talked about this before. It is the Market Street Bridge is only 6-7 miles further upriver, and the Fort Henry Bridge is your next access point south. But those still are a good ways away if there's a major issue and people need to get to the Ohio side. You can make that argument, but you can also get into Pennsylvania right through Brooke County just as easy. So, I hope it spurs some development, like in Beach Bottom at what is now owned by the Northern Business and Development Corp up there, and maybe it does something with that. But it's going to be, I think it's going to be a long-term project to see that happen.
As a transportation item, I think it makes sense. Your point is well made. It's good to have another access across the river. You got to go a long way to convince me that it's going to create any real economic value. And in fact, I was thinking the other day, the analogy is not quite the same. But I remember when early in my reporting career, every meeting I ever attended at Bel Air Council, Shadyside Council, everyone kept saying, "Oh golly, we can't wait until Route 7 is done. Route 7 is going to save us. Route 7, when it's done, and then Route 7 bypassed the towns, and it led to their demise, not to their success. Because suddenly you had another way to get around without even going through town. And I'm wondering about that with Beach Bottom and Follinsby, if people who would normally come up the river and end up going through Beach Bottom, Follinsby, and so on to get to the next bridge.
Sure. If you're in downtown Wheeling, let's be honest. If you're in downtown Wheeling or you're in Warwood, and you like to drive Route 2 to go to Pittsburgh or Robinson or wherever you want to go north, if you're in Warwood, it's now going to be much easier to drive, out past the dam and up and the airport and go up and hop on that bridge and have a nice 4-lane road that takes you to Steubenville and then on to 22 and into Pennsylvania. So you're exactly right, you'll bypass, Wellsburg and Follinsby, and so we'll see. I guess for now, let's just be happy that everyone was safe, no injuries. The bridge, the work went flawless, which is what the best you can ask for, and just a great job to everyone involved.
All right, a couple of local things I want to get to after a news break. Rental inspection being talked about in Wheeling, library funding being cut by the Ohio County School Board, new fire headquarters location being kicked around in Wheeling, which somewhat confuses me. And if we have time, I want to talk about the Ohio County Development Authority meeting this week, too. Sure. So let's take a quick break. We've got a lot of things I want to get to, and we'll do that. John McCabe is with me here on the Watchdog Morning Show.
The Metro News Update is brought to you by Thomas Auto Centers, Mall Road, St. Clairsville. Get the best deal at Thomas Auto Centers.
West Virginia.
2.5 games. The Cardinals 13-2 in second place, 2 games back in the National League Central. Hey, be safe out there. Be considerate of others. Please check on the elderly. I'm Bill DeFabio on sports, and we are the Watchdog.
Frio Stack & Associates Auctioneers, Realtors, Certified Appraisers specializing in antiques, business liquidations, multi-parcel land auctions. Frio Stack & Associates is a regional business offering the executor, attorney, agent, and other individuals the most comprehensive and technologically advanced auction and appraisal services available. For information on our service, call our office at 304-233-3168 or email frioauc@aol.com. Frio Stack & Associates sells the earth and everything on it.
A serious injury from an accident can be just the start of your worries. What if you cannot return to work? How do you take care of your family if you're disabled? At Gelner Law Offices, we represent seriously injured people and understand their problem. We know how to get you fair compensation. We will work hard to make sure you get the money you deserve for your losses. Don't go it alone. If you're hurt in an accident, call us at 304-242-2900 or visit us at gelnerlaw.com.
We'd like to help.
This guy knows so much about sports. They based the Sports Almanac from Back to the Future off of his dream journal. He's Bill DeFabio, weekdays noon to 2 on the Valley's only network dedicated to live and local talk radio, The Watchdog.
You can vote in our Watchdog poll and read commentary in our blogs on watchdognetwork.com. The Watchdog Morning Show with Howard Monroe continues.
It's 9:30, 8:22 till the hour, 51 degrees here on the Watchdog Morning Show. John McCabe was with me, our Friday roundtable, the Ohio Valley News Week in Review. John, in and around the city of Wheeling, Ohio County, a couple of interesting stories in the last week or so. I was somewhat surprised to see a new location for a fire headquarters pop up on council's agenda a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, it's Jimmy's location. I think it's right next to. I can't remember who owns the property now, Howard.
It's A.E. Pelly, the A.E. Pelly property. It's on 17th Street.
And so that'll be. I mean, it's close to where the current location of the fire department headquarters is. We'll have to see where this goes through, but it seems like Chief Helms is behind it, and it's a little bit different than what we've been told.
I found it interesting, but the mayor gave me his explanations. I raised some questions about it because they had originally picked 19th Street as a place with a public safety building.
Right.
They changed their idea on that, but they still went ahead and bought that property, which is only a couple of streets over from where they're now talking about, but they've gone out and bought another piece of property to develop the fire headquarters.
Seems to be the theme this year.
Yeah,
Maybe the last year.
The mayor says, well, they think they think they've got private interest in that 19th Street property. So I have no choice but to buy that argument or believe that argument. But it does strike me that they just bought 19th Street, which had originally been planned to be a fire and police headquarters. And now they're going to buy another piece of property 2 streets over to do it. So a little bit strange.
Yes.
The city of Wheeling also, John, talking about a rental inspection program. This is not the first time this issue has popped up. It has been beaten back a couple of times in the past. I think once with the most recent council, and then I remember at least one other effort made years ago. Ben Seidler, the councilman from Wheeling Island, really pushing this hard, but there is some pushback against it.
Yeah, I did not get a chance to listen. I know you had Dave Palmer on this week. What did Mr. Palmer have to say? He's not fully for it, correct?
He is not. He thinks that it's too much of a bureaucratic burden on landlords. He thinks that the checklist that they want to use, this self-inspection checklist, is too detailed. An example he gave, there's a requirement to be a peephole in doors. He said, what if you have a 21-unit building? Do you have to put all new doors in 21 units? So he's concerned that it's a bureaucratic burden on landlords, and he is adamantly opposed to any kind of a fee whatsoever. I got the sense he's willing to negotiate all this stuff out, but he at the moment is definitely not in favor of the proposal as it sits.
Well, and it's unfortunate. Government everywhere is growing right now, and that's programs such as this. Is there a need for better rental property in Wheeling, and a need for better controls on how landlords keep up their property? Yes, but those should be done directly through the building codes department. That should be part of the normal inspection process. But it's you go to Morgantown, the controls on landlords there are much tougher. Much tougher than what Councilman Seidler's proposing now. So it's striking that balance because again, you can't let and obviously Councilman Seidler's looking primarily at the island and some other areas where properties have just been allowed to run down. That's both a fault of the city in some ways, and also a fault of the system because of the work that's involved in doing anything about it, and the leeway that is given to property owners. If they make any repairs, it's almost the clock starts over. So it's a tough issue. And I hate to feel like I'm somewhat siding with the city because it's just an expansion of the government bureaucracy. But it's not a clear-cut issue either way.
I thought one of the landlords that spoke out at the Public Safety Committee meeting I think it was last week, made a good point. He said, if the city had not allowed things to get to this point, in other words, if we'd enforced building codes and so on prior to this, you wouldn't then have to impose this kind of a system. And I think there is something to be said for that. I don't mean to disparage the building inspectors and so on, but the city has not chosen to make it a priority.
Exactly, yes.
And so now we have a lot. And again, I always say, I want to be real clear, and I think you would concur with me, John, 90% of landlords are good landlords and want to do the very best. There is a 10% or so of landlords that are just, to use the phrase, slumlords, and they don't really care. And I've had contact with them, as I'm sure you have. And you hate to see a system put into place to make 10% the cause of a problem for 90%. Sure. But people have a right to have basic health and safety issues. Now, the one thing that Councilman Palmer got me thinking about, because I haven't seen this so-called checklist that they're going to have, self-inspection checklist. My sense of it was a pretty simple checklist. Take a clipboard and, do you have handrails? Do you have if it's too complicated, maybe Councilman Palmer has a point. But I think they have a way to maybe negotiate this out. At least I hope so.
Yep, I would agree.
Ohio County School Board this week decided to cut the funding that they provide to the Ohio County Public Library by a third. It was a 3-2 vote among the school board members, but they chose to cut the library funding. Library officials say that they're going to have to reassess their whole budget. Is it going to impact their ability to provide some of the outreach programs and so on? I guess I couldn't quite get a handle on why exactly the school board felt a need to do this. David Croft said he didn't want to say there was I forget what his phrase was, but he didn't want to say there was a financial problem with the school system, but they were trying to be, I guess, prudent with their use of money.
Yeah, this is one, when we talk about the city effectively communicating, I think this is one where the school board and the library could do a better job in really explaining to the public why this is happening. Because, the only conclusion I come up with from the school board's perspective is they've run into cost overruns at a level that there's real concern because, this is a $76 million bond project, and that's really, according to what they said at the meeting on Monday and then our follow-up, that's really kind of the genesis of this, is that these projects are coming in much higher than they anticipated. Labor costs are up, material costs are up. But out of a $76 million project, $300,000 is 0.4%. And it's a pittance. So that's a tough argument to swallow. That's why. But on the other hand, I don't think the library's done itself a whole lot of favors in really talking about why and really explaining why this money is important for them, why it's important for them to be able to do the outreach. Touched on a little bit at the meeting, 400 kids who had received library cards at Triadelphia Middle over the last year, but there's not been really good outreach on both ends as to why this is happening and what it really means. I think from the school board's perspective, it's just it feels like a lousy move.
I would agree. But I also think, reading between the lines, and I have not spoken to any of it, reading between the lines in the articles that you have had and the comments that were made publicly, I think the library is trying to be careful not to tick them off anymore.
I totally agree. I think that they're, okay, maybe we can live with 1% less, so let's not poke the bear. Yeah, I think you're exactly right. And I understand that, but by the same token, it makes it hard because they just, I think they could be a little more effective at how they convey their message. But, to the overarching issue of this whole, why this has come up now, we're coming out of one of the worst time and, the worst year of any of our lives where, particularly for our kids, life has turned upside down. They've had to learn new ways to be educated. Not all kids have parents who are lawyers or school principals and can afford the technological advancements at home to be able to do the research they need. The library has long served as a great asset for this community and will continue to serve. When I look at the kids who are the top 10 and the Beneke winners and the top students from Ohio County schools every year. Do you know what a lot of those kids have in common, Howard? They started with their parents or their grandparents at story time at the library.
Yeah.
Education was valued in their home. Why, again, if this was $3 million, maybe it's a different argument, but it's not even $300,000, $294,000 and change. And it just, the optics of it are really bad because what else did they do at that same meeting, at the board meeting Monday? They agreed to accept bids for lighting for a sports field, for storage rooms and restrooms at a sports field, all needed items. You can't, it's kind of foolish to build this really nice sports field and not have restrooms, lighting, or a place to put things when you're not using it.
And you use the word optics, John, but the timing really is awkward. $500,000 for lights and concessions and so on at a sports field, and cutting back funding in a library, which, I'm a child of a library. I'm a firm believer that the library needs the library serves a purpose. It serves a purpose in the community with things like Lunch with Books and other programs, and it serves a real purpose for kids, especially kids who don't have, as you point out, the ability to the internet that's their internet sometimes by going to the library. It is their recreation. It's the story times for kids are good. I'm a child of the library, and I'm a firm believer in it. I think they ought to increase funding, not decrease it. But again, we talked earlier this morning on this show, John, about looking back and thinking on old days. I remember the days of the bookmobile and how happy I was when the bookmobile came to my school too.
Hey, as we point out in it, libraries are magical places. They really are. If you go in and especially as a kid, when you're a young kid, you go in and it's just like all these books and, essentially anything you ever need to know you can find there. Now, a kid today can make the argument that, hey, I've got that on my phone, but it's not the same because you know what else you find on your phone? Yeah, a lot of misinformation, a lot of garbage, that's in the vast wide world of the internet, at least at the library. And if you have a question, you go and you either use does anybody even know what the Dewey Decimal System is anymore, unfortunately? But, you have librarians there to help and to help point you in the right direction. I think, again, the optics of what's going on now in the school board when we talk about so the sports field project wasn't part of the bond call that is now over budget. They're adding new locker rooms. Those things are good, and I guess they're important. But nice. The reality is that those only serve some kids. Only some kids essentially at one school. The public library is there to serve everyone. And
John, I have to run, but I'm 1,000% with you, and hopefully you guys will do some more on this, and I know I'm going to try to as well. And next week, maybe, I didn't get to, and I promised I would do this. I want to talk about the Ohio County Development Authority and the Highlands a little bit more. I thought some interesting things were said this past week by Zach Abraham at the OCDA meeting. Don't have time for it now, so maybe we'll pick up on that next week, or maybe one of these days we'll do a TV show again, too.
Sounds good, Howard.
All right, talk to you later. Thanks, John. I appreciate it. Newspaper editor John McCabe here on the Watchdog Morning Show. So Bob's going to yell at me because I promised I'd do the Greg Stewart Highlands thing, and I didn't get to it. We'll do it sometime next week. But we're going to talk to Bob Westfall right now from WTRF TV, who's got a look at what they've got going on today. Good morning, Bob.
Morning, Howard. How are you?
I'm good. It's Friday, and I'm looking forward to weekend. Grandson's birthday this weekend, so big parties are coming up. It's going to be kind of fun. How about you?
Good. I got some stuff to do around the house, so I think that's probably what I'm going to do. Get stuff ready for cooking out and barbecues and stuff like that. Get stuff
it's
together.
going to be that time, which is exciting. I'm glad to see that, too. What are you working on at the Big 7 today?
All right. Well, Big 7's the zoo today, I'll tell you what. Apparently, we've gone to the dogs. Today's Bring Your Pet to Work Day, Channel 7.
Oh, boy.
Raising money for local animal shelter. So if you hear a bark, that's what's going on. But a couple other things we're working on is I kind of like this story DK's working on. It's called Mission 2030. We talked to Jason Haswell earlier this week, and he talked about how he felt maybe kids need taught in high school financial information. If something as simple as how to balance a checkbook, things like that. Well, it looks like Marshall County Schools has something like that. It's called Mission 2030. It's a class that teaches students about finances. So we're going to find out what that is, how the kids are learning, and what they're learning. So we're kind of excited about that story. Also, I'm going to talk to Chief Helms about where he would like to see the new Wheeling Fire Headquarters. So we actually toured the area where he wants to put it, talked to him earlier this week. Catherine Guyon will have that story. That's in our 6 o'clock tonight about where they want to put the new HQ. So we have
That's an interesting story. We just talked about that. It surprised me when council just came up with this 17th Street property because they just recently bought the 19th Street property. At the time when they first talked about it, it was going to be for a police and fire station. But now they're moving a couple streets over to 17th Street. So I'll be interested to see what the fire chief has to say on this.
My understanding is he feels that this could be decided next council meeting, which is next Tuesday. So we'll have an update on that as well. We're also working out, we've got our meteorologist, Aaron Myler, out. He is checking off planting season. He is out with Jerry Everett. We all know Everett's farm. We're going to see how the planting season is going, especially with light of how the winter went. It seemed like it was a little. I guess we had good bit of snow. It seemed like it all came in like maybe 2 or 3 clumps. So anyway, we're just going to see how things are going with the planting season. Obviously, agriculture is a big product here in the Ohio Valley. So we're going to find out what's happening with that and see how the planting season is going to go. So Aaron is out on the farm this morning.
Yeah, Aaron down on the farm. I like that. Sounds good.
Yeah. So watching that, I think we had a little bit of rain coming through possibly this afternoon. So Zach and Dr. Dave are watching that. And then we've got all kinds of high school sports going on, high school basketball. As you know, thrilled for Cameron. Cameron's got the girls.
Yeah, that's a great story.
Downstate. Wheeling Park, sadly, the girls, I think, really close lost to Morgantown last night. They got to be really proud, though, of a great season. So Scott will have all that tonight as well. So a little bit of new sports and weather. Of course, I'm going to tout our app. Again, it's a new app. If you haven't downloaded, the thing is, you've got to take the old app off your phone and download this new app. So you really can't update the old app. So if you haven't done that, you need to get this one, because this one's slick. It's really cool. You can customize your push alerts, everything like that. So if you need that, get that one. And of course, we have the Storm Tracker app as well.
I want to reinforce a point you just made. You can't just go to update the old app. You need to get rid of your old WTRF 7 News app and download the new one. So you can. It's not just like just download a new version that pops on top of the old version. It's important for people to understand that. But I do love the app, I must say.
Yeah, this is a totally brand new app. It's totally different. So updating the old app is not going to get you to it. You've got to get rid of that old app and go into your store, whether it's Google Play or the iPhone, and get your app that way and reload it. And I'll tell you what, it'll be fantastic, because I followed all the way. So it's a great deal.
And as you point out, Storm Tracker 7, the companion app, those two together really keep you informed of what's happening around the valley. People can check things out at noon, 5, 6, 10, 11, 5:30, the statewide show, and always all day long and all weekend long, for that matter, WTRF.com and on your Facebook page.
Yes, we'll have all that. Obviously, we've got the draft going on. Our John Lynch is up there, so we're going to be following some tweets from him. We're excited. I guess a lot of Steelers fans are quite thrilled with what happened last night with their draft pick. So we'll have an update on all that stuff today, too.
All right, sounds good. Bob, have yourself a great weekend. We'll talk to you again on Monday.
All right, guys, you have a good weekend.
Bob Westfall from the Big 7, WTRF TV, here on the Watchdog Morning Show. Coming up next, statewide talk line 10:06. Hoppy Kercheval in, Senator Manchin, his first guest up, talking about Biden's speech this week, the infrastructure plan, for the People Act, a number of other things coming up. Senator Manchin on with Hoppy today. Also today, a look at the state basketball tournament. Joe Briccato will be either top of the girls' high school basketball tournament. And in the tail end of the show, steam release. But before we get to steam release, I'll be there. Hoppy and I are going to talk about Biden's speech this week, his spending plans, and also about congressional redistricting here in West Virginia. So I'll be on with Hoppy today. Steam release at 11:30. As for me, good Lord willing, creeks don't rise, bat phone doesn't ring, don't get impeached, don't retire. Ticker keeps on ticking, don't overeat, and 31 crumb crushers at the party don't overrun me at the birthday party. And Teddy says it's okay. You can go back to work on Monday, Granddad. I'll be back Monday morning, 7 o'clock to the go around of the big gig. Are you back with me, Beth?
Ready to start another week and a new month.
We'll keep on doing it till we get it right.
That could be a long time.
Indeed.
The Watchdog is FM 98.1, AM 1600 WKKX Wheeling, FM 97.7, AM 1370 WVLY Moundsville.
The ABC News is brought to you by Thomas Auto Centers, Mall Road, St. Clairsville. Get the best deal at Thomas Auto Centers.
Clark, today is the day the U.S. is likely to reach 100 million.
Okay, Biffy. Turned out to be pretty good. We managed to get things through. It's good to talk to Bill again. I enjoy doing that. So, I don't think I have anything scheduled for Monday. I had a couple of ideas, but I don't know what I'm doing yet. So, of course, I don't know what I'm doing any day, but we have to do that's right. We start the Mother's Day giveaway next week. I have to stop in today and pick up the information. So Bill called me 3 times yesterday. Are you coming to get this stuff? Bill, I'll get it. It's not till next week, so I'll come in to pick up my stuff. So we'll do that. We have Mother's Day giveaway next week. And I don't know what else we'll do. We'll come up with we'll come up with some kind of plan, I'm sure. Yeah. Have a good weekend. You going to try to get golfing in, or what's your game plan? How's the house coming? Any movement on that? Must be lunch, yeah. Good deal. Well, so you're making progress. And what's the address, or what is it on? What street you told me it's on? 7th Street. Okay. Yep. Oh, okay. All right. Well, good. I'm glad the progress is getting made. That sounds good. All right, good. You'll be a homeowner and have all the problems that come with home ownership. Like toilets that never stop breaking down. All right, sounds good. I'll be around. I'm going to stop in at some point today. I got to pick up that stuff from Bill. I hope Bill is able to figure out how to use his app. And then I guess Donnie's guests are going to be his guest hosts are going to be in studio. So, yeah. So we'll see how things go. All right, if you need me, I'll be around one way or another, and otherwise I might see you when I drop by. If not, I'll talk to you on Monday. Yeah, somehow this is not the kind of party I used to go to, but but I hear you. All right, Paul. Thanks for your help. I always appreciate it, and I will talk to you Monday. All right, bye.
After the theft earlier this year of 2 French bulldogs belonging to Lady Gaga and the shooting of their dog Walker. ABC's Zareen Shah has the latest.
Police confirming they've arrested and charged 5 individuals, 3 facing robbery and attempted murder charges. Seen in February surveillance video obtained by TMZ, the suspects jump out of a white Nissan Altima and ambush the pop star's dog walker, Ryan Fisher, demanding he hand over the valuable pets.
One of those charged is the woman who returned the 2 dogs, hoping to claim the reward. Peoria, Illinois man finding a perfect way to honor his late father. John Hinkle Jr. bowling a perfect game using a ball that contained his father's ashes. Hinkle and his twin brother say they've been bowling since they were 4, and their dad always supported them. This is ABC News.
All right, is that a Q2 or Q3 expense?
Dwayne's CPA went in.